The rain came down in sheets, turning the streets of Marlow City into rivers of slick neon. Officer Darren Holt squinted through the windshield of his cruiser, wipers thudding in a slow rhythm, the radio crackling with static. His first week on the job, and already they tossed him the graveyard shift in the East Sector, where the city gave up pretending it was safe. Dispatch buzzed in suddenly, sharp and urgent. Unit 27, we've got reports of an altercation in the Old Point Industrial Zone. Multiple witnesses reporting explosions and structural damage. No known suspects. Proceed with caution. Darren leaned forward, heart spiking. Unit 27 en route. He flipped on the siren, not the full whine, just a pulse, and turned onto Mercer, tires splashing through puddles. The Old Point Zone had been abandoned for a decade, a graveyard of twisted steel and crumbling warehouses. Perfect place for a drug deal gone bad or a gang shootout. But explosions? He approached the chain-link gate at the end of the service road, headlights sweeping across rusted warning signs and graffiti. The air shimmered. Then, boom! A deafening blast echoed from deep inside the complex. Orange light lit up the night sky like a second sun. Darren hit the brakes, eyes wide, heart pounding in his chest like a war drum. He scrambled out of the cruiser, hand instinctively dropping to his holstered sidearm. Thunder cracked overhead, but it wasn't from the storm. Another explosion tore through the silence, this time hurling debris from the second story of an old shipping warehouse. Darren ducked as a twisted metal beam slammed into the street just 20 feet from him, sparking as it slid across wet concrete. And then he saw them, two figures, teens, maybe 17, 18. A boy and a girl, standing atop the broken remains of the warehouse roof, glowing with energy that didn't come from any generator. The girl's arms were wreathed in violet flame, her eyes blazing like suns. The boy was bleeding, shirt torn, his body crackling with raw electricity. They were yelling, but not in fear. They were screaming at each other. Then, without warning, they charged, and the sky exploded again. The impact shook the warehouse like a bomb. Shattered panels and steel beams rained down from the upper floor, and Darren barely had time to duck behind his cruiser before a wall of heat washed over him. The air turned electric. Every hair on his body stood up as the ground trembled beneath his boots. From his cover, he risked a glance around the corner. They were still going at it, brother and sister if he had to guess. Both of them looked too young to be this deadly. The boy gritted his teeth and swung a fist, sending a wave of crackling energy that blew a whole support column clean off its foundation. The girl caught it mid-air, with one hand encased in writhing violet flame. She hurled it back, screaming something unintelligible, and the beam slammed into the boy, sending him tumbling through a broken wall. Darren's radio crackled. Unit 27. Status? He grabbed the mic with shaking fingers. This is Holt. I've got two metas. Teenagers. They're tearing the place apart. I need backup. Immediate. A sudden crack overhead interrupted him. He looked up. The girl was falling. Correction. Diving. Straight at him, propelled by a burst of flame that cracked the air like thunder. Darren rolled as she slammed into the pavement where he'd just stood, cratering the asphalt in a burst of purple fire. Shards of hot pavement sprayed out in every direction. She straightened slowly, shoulders heaving. Her hands were clenched, flames flickering up her forearms. And her eyes, God, her eyes were glowing white. "You shouldn't be here," she said. Darren raised his hands. "I'm a cop. I don't want to hurt you." She blinked, then laughed, a bitter, exhausted sound. "You couldn't hurt me." A surge of blue light streaked in from the left, and suddenly the boy was there again, slamming into her side with a shoulder charge. Both teens flew across the street, rolled over a wrecked dumpster, and hit the wall of the warehouse with a crunch that made Darren wince. They scrambled to their feet again, back in their standoff. "You always ruin everything," the boy snarled. "You're the one who ran," she snapped back. "I tried to save us." Electricity surged, fire rose, and Darren realized something in that moment, watching these two titans tear each other apart. This wasn't just a fight, it was a family war. Darren kept low, his pulse racing as he crept behind a half-collapsed crate. Whatever this was, it was way beyond his pay grade. Academy hadn't prepared him for mutant siblings with godlike powers locked in a personal grudge match. But he wasn't about to run either. He peeked again. The boy's hands were up, arcs of lightning dancing across his fingers, casting long shadows through the rain. His face was pale beneath the grime, bleeding from a cut over one brow. He looked terrified, furious, and heartbreakingly young. "You think Mom wanted this?" he shouted. "You think she wanted you to turn into a damn weapon?" The girl's flame flared higher. Her boots scorched the pavement beneath her as she stepped forward, voice trembling with rage. "She didn't want us running. She died for us to fight back. You're the coward, Levi." Levi. The name hit Darren like a puzzle piece falling into place. He remembered the briefings. A redacted report out of Burnside Labs 6 months ago. Something about escaped test subjects. Twins. Names classified. Until now. "I didn't ask for any of this, Rose," Levi screamed. "Neither did I," she fired back. And then they clashed again. Energy on fire, fire on lightning. The warehouse behind them finally gave up the ghost and collapsed in a roar of twisted steel and splintered wood. Debris rained down around them, but they didn't flinch. It was like they were the only two people in the world. Darren had to act. He didn't know how to stop them, but maybe he could slow them down before one of them killed the other. He reached for the emergency pack in the cruiser and yanked out the sonic disruptor, the kind they only issued for extreme metahuman encounters. It looked like a high-tech fire extinguisher, but would emit a focused frequency burst strong enough to disorient most enhanced physiology. Assuming these two had physiology that could be disoriented. He crouched, steadied his grip on the trigger, aimed between them as they circled each other again. "Please don't make me do this," he muttered. But Levi's hands surged with lightning. Rose screamed and launched herself at him, flame bursting from her shoulders. And Darren squeezed the trigger. The disruptor whined to life, emitting a shrill, focused pulse that split the air like a scream made of metal and static. It hit both teens, mid-charge. Rose let out a strangled gasp, fire extinguishing instantly into smoke as she collapsed mid-air and skidded hard across the pavement. Levi's eyes rolled back. His arc of lightning faltered, then snapped inward with a sharp pop as he crumpled to one knee, clutching his head. Darren sprinted forward, boots splashing through rain-soaked debris, pulse hammering in his throat. The disruptor was still humming, flickering red as it cycled down. He dropped it beside him and knelt over the girl. She was groaning, dazed, but breathing. Her arms twitched, and her skin steamed with residual heat. But the fire was gone. For now. Behind him, Levi pushed to his feet slowly, breathing raggedly. "What did you do to us?" he asked, voice hoarse. Darren kept a wary eye on him. "It's a non-lethal suppressor. Temporary. I didn't come here to fight you." Levi's hands flexed at his sides, sparks twitching at his fingertips. He looked down at his sister, then at Darren again. "We didn't ask for this," he said. "Any of it." "I believe you," Darren said. "Then walk away. Let me finish this." He took a step forward, and Darren drew his weapon. "Don't," he warned. "You may be faster, stronger, hell, probably bulletproof, but this won't stop me from trying." Levi's jaw clenched. He stared at Darren, fists shaking, then back at Rose, still unconscious, her breathing shallow. The fight drained out of him all at once. His shoulders slumped. He dropped to the curb and covered his face with both hands. Darren stayed ready. A long minute passed. Rain pelted them both in silence. She tracked me here, Levi finally said. I've been off-grid for months. I wasn't hurting anyone. Why was she trying to stop you? She thinks she's some kind of hero now, he muttered. After what they did to us, she wants to make it mean something. I just want to be left alone. He glanced up at Darren, eyes tired and bloodshot. You don't know what they turned us into. Darren holstered his weapon slowly. No, he said, but I'm starting to find out. And then Rose stirred, groaning, flames crackling again across her arms. The temporary peace was over. Rose coughed and rolled to her side, steam rising from her back as her powers flickered back online. A low hum filled the air, the sound of unstable energy building inside her again. Levi was on his feet instantly. No, Rose, he said, holding out a hand. Don't. She looked up, dazed, eyes glowing dimly through tangled, soaked hair. Her lip was bleeding. Her arm trembled as she tried to rise. You hit me with a truckload of volts, she rasped. And you want me to just not finish this? It's done, he snapped. You're not hearing me. We're done. You win, okay? You dragged me into the open. Now what? Gonna haul me back to the agency like a prize? Her glow flickered uncertainly. Darren stood between them, not raising his weapon this time, just watching. Agency? He asked quietly. Rose's eyes snapped to him. You don't get to ask questions. I think I do, he replied. You just cratered half a city block. She pushed to her feet, shaky, defiant. We were born in a lab, raised in rooms without doors, taught how to kill before we could read. And when they were done, they threw us away. She didn't throw herself away, Levi growled. She signed up. It's the only way to stop them, Rose hissed. We can't run forever. Better to run than become them. Darren stepped forward. Hey, both of you. I don't care who did what. Right now, you're both in deep. I've got backup coming, and if they see what I've seen, you're not walking out of here alive. Rose stared at him. So what? We just leave? Pretend none of this happened? Darren glanced at the fallen disruptor unit, at the blown-out street, the warehouse smoldering behind them. He sighed. I didn't say that. He reached into his coat, slowly, deliberately, and pulled out his badge. He tossed it to the ground between them. Levi blinked. What are you doing? I'm making a choice, Darren said. I swore to protect people. If what you're saying is true, if there's someone out there making kids into weapons, then I'm not doing it from behind a desk or in a patrol car. He looked them both in the eyes. I don't work for the agency, but I will work with you. Rose's flame dimmed to a flicker. Levi didn't move, but his fists unclenched. Then, sirens. Far off, but getting closer. Darren looked at the ruined road behind him. You've got about 30 seconds to vanish. Rose's eyes narrowed. You just threw your life away. Yeah, he said. Let's make sure it was worth it. Levi was the first to move. He darted toward Rose, grabbed her arm, not roughly but urgently, and whispered something Darren couldn't hear. She stared at her brother for a heartbeat, then nodded, the fire around her palms flickering one last time before she extinguished it like snuffing out a candle. Together, they turned. A deep rumble shook the cracked pavement as Levi's electricity surged beneath his feet, forming a pulse that cracked the ground in a glowing arc. Rose grabbed his shoulder, and with a blinding flash, they vanished. Gone. Not a trace.